Yeah, but aren't
existing.
you? But
It's
you
existing.
are. You do have the privilege of living through this historical event, right? Like people are going to be talking
Fuck
about.
you. Oh my
What?
god.
What is wrong with that?
Oh, the privilege.
Winners use drugs.
So, girl sent me the traffic lights thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was telling her that I saw a study that was like 80% of people miss signals, like in a like flirting contextual sense, like that people just are blind to that in general.
Yeah.
And I was saying I bet it's 99% of men, because it's just like at some point we just let that we think women are giving off the signal they're into us so many times and we misread it. Maybe this is just my own personal experience, but like I just totally stopped assuming women are into me
Yeah.
as anything but friends unless they make it fucking clear that they want it more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I know I'm the same way, but what I think it is, I don't think women are giving off mixed signals. I think women just don't have as a clear vision of what they want as men do in most cases. So the signals they give off are much more ambiguous simply because their own desires are much more ambiguous, right?
Yeah. Well, and to that point, like, you know, I've tried to like two comedians were talking about this recently about how, you know, like a girl in high school offered him a hand job or whatever, and like if she came up to him today, he'd still be like, "Yeah, I'm down for that."
Yeah.
Whereas a woman can be interested in you this month, and by the next month, it's just like, "Oh no." Like,
Yeah,
gross. Like, no, I would never be into. But it's like for men, it seems to be like if I was into you once, I'm probably still into you
Right.
forever. Right?
Yeah, but it's also the case that like a woman could be in a relationship for like a month and not even be sure that they like the person, right? Like they're
That's
still on
fucking insane. to
they're
me.
still on the fence about it, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, and some people, yeah. I mean, I listen to Savage Love, right? So it's like you hear people that are just like, I don't know, we're getting to the 10-month mark and it's getting time. I don't know if I want to marry this guy. It's like, right, but like that's one thing. But like you're talking like you don't even like him particularly. You're like, he has a good job, but he, you know, doesn't want to go out
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
weekend.
yeah.
And it's like, right. So why aren't you leaving if they like oh my god.
yeah, like that's much less common in men. Like at least in my experience, when I like a girl, I know that I'm into her, and there's no question in my head.
How
Right.
quickly do you know?
It might not be like, particularly with internet dating, it's hard to find out at the very least until we meet, and then it might even be several times before they show their true colors or something, right?
Yeah.
But if it's someone that, I mean, for me, it was more common in like circumstances like back in like school or university when I was interacting with women in a non-romantic context, but sometimes you develop an interest in them. It's like in those situations where I already knew them a little bit. If I was interested in them, I knew I was interested in them, and there wasn't any question
Yeah.
in my mind, right?
Yeah. Because you know who they were.
Yeah, like internet dating is obviously different because you don't know the person very well. So,
Yeah, I don't get. I don't get that. I genuinely don't get that. Like, just how it can switch. I don't get how it can switch for like.
yeah.
There's no switch like, and I think maybe that's because we're doing the like visual check down first before anything else. So it's
Right.
like, if the visual is good, it's like I'm probably into.
Well, you must have had situations where there's a decision before you that you just have no stake and you just don't give a shit about. Like maybe it's like, oh, where are we gonna go? Like, let's go grab a drink. Where are we gonna go? And you're like, I don't care where we go.
Mhm.
All the pubs are the same. It doesn't matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've had those kind of situations where it's just like you can't really make a decision because you just don't.
Oh, that's me literally all the time.
Yeah, like that.
Like,
That's
where do you want to go talk?
yeah,
Which location? I don't give a shit. I don't need to go have the new martini at
right.
this bar. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I think that feeling is the same feeling that women get about men, right? Where they're just like, I don't know. Like I could go with maybe this guy. Like it's not so like this is the one kind of thing for them the way it is for us. I could be completely off on the mark on that. I'm not a woman. I don't know. But that's sort of the sense I got.
I think you're right. I never know when it switches to like, yeah, because you hear guys talk about love at first sight shit, right?
Yeah.
You only hear women say that retroactively by
Right.
like, I've been married to him for 20 years, and it's like and you've rehashed the memory so many times that you've convinced yourself you loved him immediately. And then the guy will often say like, you fucking hated my guts. Like
Right.
that's not accurate at all.
Yeah,
like you've
yeah.
made up this romantic thing about how we met, but it's like, no, I made a shitty joke about your mom and you didn't call me for 2 weeks. And it wasn't until like we reconvened after. Yeah.
Yeah, I think women do get there. They get to the point where they're like, this is the one. But that point happens way longer than it happens for guys, right?
Yeah. Well, so going back to this text, right? So the other thing I said was that for 99% of guys, there's just like, we don't interpret signals that way anymore at a certain age, right? Like,
Yeah.
I do feel like it's a maturity thing, like where you just stop seeing women as only dating interests, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're hyper focused on that till you're like 25, and then it's like, oh, women are good to just hang out and talk to. Cool. Like it doesn't have to be a romantic or
Yeah.
sexual thing. Great. But I was saying that I think there's that 1% of guy that's just like, he will read every signal as this girl's into him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he probably gets laid constantly because he just always does interpret it that way, at the detriment of having like, like picking up signals is important,
Yeah.
right? Like
yeah.
if a girl's not into you, you want to be respectful of that and whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but I'm thinking of like a certain type of guy that just like sees that as a challenge and he just keeps going for it.
Yeah.
Like he's willing to just completely be ghosted or what, like whatever. Like he doesn't. Yeah.
Well, I remember struggling with that at one point in my life where it's like I couldn't tell the difference. But I think at that point in my life, I just hadn't had that many women give me those kind of signals.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like there was all these friendship signals, and I was like, well, one of these has got to be a romantic signal, but which one is it?
Right.
But then it's like at some point I became, I guess, a available mate. Like something changed where women started to see me more. Yeah, or maybe
Money.
that's yeah,
Money.
maybe. Like
you got money and you got confidence.
Yeah. So and then it's like then I started to see women make their interest known as like, oh, that's actually very distinct from the kind of signal I get if someone just wants to be friends with me, right?
Right. Yeah. I still don't see it as that clear though, because there are the type of women that are flirty naturally.
Yeah, true.
And they kind of fuck it up for every other woman in the sense that like they're generally the girl that like other girls hate. So I'm always super attracted to the girls generally that other girls hate. Like that's just it's like, oh, I like that you're hyper whatever.
Yeah, well, I'm also like, I'm not that bothered by misreading a signal. Like if I think a girl's into me and I make a move and she's like, "Whoa, wait, hold on, this is not." It's like, okay, well, sorry, right? Oh well.
That would fucking crush me.
Really?
Yeah, no, this is why it's like I am slow as shit to do anything with women. Like I am like I hate the term demisexual because to me it's just like every woman is demisexual. It's like need to warm up mostly, like have like a connection. And like I do feel uniquely for a guy, like I need a connection beyond. Like a hookup would never be a thing I would ever be interested in.
Yeah. They're not. I don't like that either. But
some people find it thrilling or whatever to like just not know anything, whereas I'm just like, fuck, what STI am I getting from this?
yeah, well, there's that.
Because I'm not the first dude that's doing this within the last. Like it's not like she was on a fast from dick for months and then just was like, I need to jump your bones.
Yeah, well, there is that, but there's also just it's intimacy, right? I don't want to be intimate with a stranger. That's why I don't like hookups. It's like
Right.
we're together and we're doing stuff that, I don't want to just do that with just anyone, right? I want it to be someone that I'm comfortable with, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, and that's the thing, comfortable with. Like,
yeah.
I don't think there's any way I could possibly be comfortable. I would be so self-conscious, like
Yeah.
the entire time. Like, what is this person thinking? I would be so in my head that I wouldn't be able to enjoy it because I'd just be like, I don't know if I'm doing good. I don't know if this person's enjoying us. I don't know. I can't read any, like, I don't trust myself to know.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and I've actually had a few hookups in the past, and I never liked it. Every single one I regret. So,
Really?
Yeah.
You don't have like, oh, that was pretty sweet. She was hot.
I mean, they're not. None of them were as hot as I would have. One of them was pretty hot, and she's one of those people that I would still happily.
Yeah.
She's still hot enough to be with, but I didn't like the lack of emotional connection. Right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, trust I know is the underlying issue for me. There's some people that are way better at just either. Do you think they turn a blind eye to it or they don't care?
I think for some people I think the hookup is just a different thing than making love or whatever, right? Like for some people it's
I want to fucking die when people say making love. But anyways, continue.
well, it's a good way to distinguish the two. Like if you proceed on the premise that even though they are similar in the acts are similar, there's a difference in what you're doing, right? When you're having a hookup, it's not anything comparable to like when you're intimate with a loved one, right?
I don't know because I have no idea.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
It's not.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it is. I mean,
I would question anybody though that said I've made love to them though.
Yeah, well,
Because it's so cringy. I just like there's a part of me that's just like, oh.
Yeah,
oh
we
my
don't
God.
we don't need to get hung up on that. I'm not married to that term either. We're like whatever.
Yeah.
It's just it's a way to distinguish them, but we can use some other term.
Well, because I just yeah. Because that's a confusing thing to me because it's just like no, I definitely like this is the thing, like I envy people that can do hookups because I am a person that would be out fucking everybody if I thought that was possible for me.
Oh,
Do you
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
That sounds awesome to me, like hooking up with a bunch of different people and like getting to hook up with it, like not in any kind of conquest way, but like in a people are so different what am I missing out on?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't, not for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like, I guess it comes down to like sex in general. Like I really enjoy sex, but there's actually things I enjoy more than sex, right? It's not the ultimate thing for me, right? So
Right. And I don't understand that perspective.
yeah.
If I could just choose to be doing one thing the rest of my life, it'd just be staying in my bed and fucking someone.
Yeah. So that's
I
the
don't
difference,
want
right?
to stop to do anything else. It's like, ugh, we have to go get food like that. Like that's a like I don't. It's like, yeah. This is why it doesn't work with people that are not, like my first girlfriend was not sexually driven in any way. It was like a very like, how much time, and it's like that's not gonna work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like we're definitely different in that way. Like if I could go back to like being in high school, like before I lost my virginity, and like I would want to like tell people like, why are we so fucking obsessed with this thing? And it's honestly like it's fun, but it's not like
Yeah.
so much fun that we need to devote this much time and energy to it. Like it, yeah.
Oh, I'm with you in the sense that like I think a lot of people should wait a lot longer. Like
Yeah.
especially now knowing like even at 25 like just how different my brain was from 18
Yeah,
or whatever.
but there's also this perception when you're in high school about how great it is to have sex with women, and it's like it doesn't live up to the hype, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
That at least I had when I was in high school, right? I mean, I had it, like, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't. It's great. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy it, but I guess I thought it before I had sex. I thought it was gonna be way better
Than it was.
than it turned out to be.
Do you
right?
do you think it changed, like had you waited till you were like 25, do you think it would change your opinion because you would have like waited for this thing forever?
No, I think it probably would have just further entrenched.
Your disappointment when you actually
No, like I would just, my identity would be even more farther removed from sexuality, right? Because I'd already developed into a fully grown human being who never had sex, right?
Yeah, but I think there's also a chance you'd be like, fuck, I didn't know what I was missing out on.
Yeah,
You don't think?
I don't think that's so. I
Really?
mean, maybe, but I think when you get to like say like the idea of the like 40-year-old virgin, right?
Mhm.
Someone who's gone to 40 and never had sex. It's not like that person was just sitting at home thinking about what sex was like that entire time. They
I was pretty close.
maybe, but in my mind, I'm seeing a person who has a rich life where they engage in hobbies and interests, and that gets more and more cemented as time goes on. Till when they hit 40, sure, I mean, sex is pleasurable. Like no one's gonna. I mean, some people dislike it, but they probably have other issues going on, right?
Or they're asexual.
Yeah.
I do genuinely believe in asexuality now. I used to
Yeah.
just think it was like an extreme trauma response, but I
Mhm.
do think like, yeah, anything's possible now. Like last week a couple of weeks ago on Savage Love, a woman called in and she realized she's asexual. She's been married for 25 years and she's always felt like being violated every time she's having sex, right?
Yeah.
And to hear her talk was like, that is wild. Like it's kind of like what it used to be for gay guys, probably like early on, is like nobody else thinks like this.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
she probably hears all her friends talking about sex and how great it is. And she's just like, that is not my experience. Like, I love this man, but like sex is terrible. It's just something I do. Right.
Yeah.
And I do think there's a lot of I think there is a lot of women that just genuinely
I don't doubt that. Yeah.
don't want to have sex. But,
Yeah, probably. I mean,
because like people talk about like, you know, well, if society was safer and blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, I do think on some level there might be more random sex with people, but I'm also pretty cynical about most women's sex drives. Like it does seem few and far between to match up with guys. Like,
yeah,
because
true.
we're just built to like fuck anything. Like yeah. So yeah, I don't know what to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty uncontroversial statement. That I mean, I guess someone online put it as like the difference between men and women's sex drive is that for women it's like a background process, and for guys it's like a pop up, right?
True. And you have to address it in some
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
Well, and you hear people at transition, right? Like people that have gone from female to male have, I mean, there's a million articles about it. And just like, holy shit, I didn't know what dealing with testosterone was like. Like I have way more sympathy for guys now than I ever did, because I didn't understand that this thing was just constantly nagging at me. And like my roommate that was transitioning said the same. Like they were I think like 8 months in, but they had been starting to take testosterone, and they're just like, fuck, do you think about fucking all the time? And I was like, yes I do.
yeah.
And like they were just like, oh my god, because as you said, it's like I think it is normally more of a B process for most
right.
women. Maybe that has to do with like me and strangers and attracting people, whatever. They constantly have dicks coming there, like they can get fucked anytime they want, so it's not that interesting. There's no scarcity to it.
There's that to it, yeah. But no, that's super interesting. I almost want to read those articles too, because I had no idea that female to male people were talking about that. And it's like, yeah, it really is. Testosterone is this thing that is like a powerful drive to your behavior in a lot of circumstances, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the article I read was talking about how specifically about school, and like when I was going to school as a woman, I never thought about the people around. Like I was focused on the class shit. Now that I'm a guy, I'm just checking out the girl 3 rows and her tits are out. Like I can't fucking focus on what the guy's talking about. And like that's basically what their article was like, I didn't realize how distracting it is from goals, or like why you can go down that path of like, you know, David Duchovny, like sexual addiction shit. It's like, if you know, or Tiger Woods or whoever, like if you have access, right? It's like, it's that Chris Rock thing of like, yeah, you haven't cheated on your wife, but like if you had a bus full of 10s showing up after every fucking turn to be like, we love you, Tiger.
Right.
It's like, then you would actually have to be, you know, tempted.
Yeah, like I still remember this one time on the train. It's probably the worst display of male testosterone that I've ever seen. Not in like the violent way, but in like it's just like there was a bunch of guys. Well, I was one of them on the train, and it kind of stopped on its way up into the Northeast, and there was this homeless woman who was crazy, and she was kind of acting out, but she was acting out in a way that like her shirt was like starting to come up off of her body, and you could just see every guy. And this lady was just like wild and crazy, not the kind of person you'd ever want to do anything with, but you couldn't help but just be like staring at what was going. And it's just like, that's what testosterone does to you, right?
Yeah. It's like, I don't even want to be looking, but if tits are out, I'm going to be looking.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, that's what it's like.
Yeah. See, and I used to be bothered by that. Like I used to be bothered by the drive to like constantly connect with women, whatever. like I've routinely said, if I could choose to be gay, like all the Christians say, I would absolutely be gay. But like, because it's just like access
Yeah.
to fucking constantly is, it doesn't matter. Like at the end of the day, it's like, you know, if my friend doesn't feel it, he could still have a hookup, right?
True. Yeah.
It's not a lack of hookups. It's just like people won't date him long term kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, anyways, there's something to the, like, anyways, so it used to bother me, but now it's like, as you said, like, it's like sex isn't that dominating in my life. Like whether I'm having it or not doesn't really control me like it used to.
Right.
It's what controlled me before is the idea of sex. Like, again, like it's like, this is going to be the most amazing thing ever. And like, to me now, it is the best thing in life, but it's still like, I don't know, coffee and a cigarette in the sun might be an option I would choose over sex in some vacation spot, you know, or some shit, right? Like, I can see being in Italy and being like, we should stop fucking for a while to go out to get a pizza. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, I'm surprised. I'm not surprised to hear you say that, but it's a different experience for me because it's like sex becomes more and more important, like the longer I've gone without having it, right? So like there's like maybe like a week or something period where it's like immediately after sex, it's like I don't care about sex anymore, right? I'd much rather get up and go play a video game or something, right? But like obviously if I haven't had it for a long time, then I'm still getting that high school level of like, oh, I really want to have this and I really want to engage in it in this particular situation, right?
Right.
So,
but you see, that's the thing. I think that's a product of you losing your virginity early, though. Like, because I went so long that it's like I'm very comfortable by being on my own. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I don't feel that same drive. What drives me to want to connect is more the interpersonal, like.
Yeah. That makes more sense. Is like that's the making love part, right? It's like the sex is like is like a pretense towards this level of intimacy that you really enjoy, right?
Well, because I mean, you've slept with enough people to know there is that switch in women. Like the moment you fuck them, it's a different. They treat you like it's different.
It is, yeah.
It's immediately different. It's like, that's why, like, honestly, I wish I could be the hookup guy, because then it's like, you know, quickly, like for me, if I fuck someone, it's like, okay, they accept me on like all levels.
Yeah, right.
Like there's nothing that like.
Well, you guys shared an experience that not everyone shares with you, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you guys have this connection now. It's kind of like people who like war buddies or something who were in a trench and they had this crazy circumstance where they had to shoot a German or something, and it's like now they have this bond with each other that no one else will ever know about. It's like that's kind of how sex is. Like you have this level of intimacy and you've seen each other in this way that not everyone gets to see.
It's good to know that you think of sex as trauma bonding.
Well, I'm seeing a pattern.
No, I get what you mean. It's a life altering experience, and like it is so private that it's like, holy shit, this person trusts me enough to see them, you know, like in this way.
Mm-hmm.
I see that.
Yeah. To go back to the thing we were talking about before, like if you misread the signals on a lady and she actually is not into you, but you've sort of made a move, that you find that extremely difficult.
Oh, I would never do it. Like the idea of it is so terrible that I would never make a move unless I was like 100% sure.
Yeah, that's interesting because for me it's like I need to make the move to be 100% sure. Right? Like if there's uncertainty, I can't reconcile that uncertainty unless I make a move, right?
Right. Whereas like, I mean, the feedback I always get is like, after I kiss someone, they're like, thank fucking God. Like it's about time. Right.
Yeah.
Because I am really bad at reading signals as they're into me. I don't believe it. Right.
Yeah.
And so, but people that I've ended up dating or connected with in a long-term way have always made it like, I've known when that connection was there. Like sometimes it was quickly, but it's like generally there's like for me, the number one thing is like physical touch. If a girl's fucking touching me all over, it's like, okay, she wants me to fucking kiss her.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like a person like this last person, it's like I felt I had to do something which I never have ever done, which is like ask, like I was like, or not ask, but like be like, do you want to kiss? Or like, it was so fucking awkward.
Yeah.
I was like, I will never do that again. But at the same time, it's like, I couldn't go in for a kiss with this person because they clearly had trauma and shit. And so I didn't want to be triggering to them in our first whatever, right? By being like it's being sensitive to their whatever I'm picking up on, right?
Right.
And like it would have been a disaster, I think, if I had gone for it like on our second date, because her body language is not into me in that way yet or whatever.
Yeah, and if it's like if you completely misread the signals to the point that it's just like, what the fuck is this guy doing? That's embarrassing, and it's probably gonna make things really awkward. But if they're the sort of the flirtatious type, and you're just like, I really can't determine right now, is she coming on to me or not, right? I, in that circumstance, if I'm into the person, would rather just make the move to know for sure where I stand with her, rather than walk away.
Right, but what if you did it too soon and she would have been into it later?
I mean, there's the risk of that, and it's like, oh well. Like I feel like at some point, you just have to not apologize for being a guy that has to make these moves, right? You're just like, whatever. Right?
No, I know, but I think we come to the same conclusion, but differently. So like for me, it's like I don't read the intent, but I know it's like I'm like, okay, like maybe this is a thing, maybe it's not, but I'll start seeing other people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'll just wait for it to develop or not. And so maybe I miss out on some people that were interested in me, but then they're over me immediately. But it's like, I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah.
I'm
for
on
sure.
to the next person.
For sure. Yeah. And that's probably the healthier perspective to have, like just move on. But there have been circumstances for me where it's like going back and thinking about a circumstance where I misread it and I thought someone wasn't into me, and then I realize after the fact, oh, that person probably was into me, and it really bothers me, right? Like I just think about it a lot, and I hate having those regrets.
Yeah.
So it's like in those circumstances where I foresee this being one of those times where I might go back and think, damn, I want to just make the move so I don't have that regret. I would much rather have the regret of making a move that I shouldn't have than not making a move when I should have.
Right. I guess it depends what your brain is going to focus on, though.
Yeah.
Because like for me, if I will be dead inside. If I go for a move and I get rejected, I'm going to focus on that for not only the next year, I'm going to remember that till I die. I'm going to be on my deathbed and be thinking about, fuck, remember that time I'll never do that again. Like, cause like I'm obsessed with trying to not make mistakes. It's not possible in life. This is what I've had to learn. But like, I have a crazy fear of making a mistake because I will never forget it.
Yeah, but I feel like the way out of that is to just think about how cool can you be in a circumstance where you made a move and it was shot down. Like you don't like the problem for women is when you're the creepy guy that keeps pushing and doesn't take no for an answer. If you can go to a girl, obviously you want to look for the signals, but if you do and you just misread it, but then you immediately like flip back to just being a cool person, there's no problem, right?
I know you say no problem,
Right.
right? But again, my head takes it to a like, fuck. Like I've really made this person uncomfortable. This is unbearable negative emotion I've put on them. You're right. It's probably like, I mean, I know for a fact, logically, it's happened to most women, right?
Yeah.
Like most women have had like a male friend or whatever try to put a move on them. And then they're just like, what? No. And it's just like, oh, okay. Sorry, I misread that. To your point, though, about the regret thing,
Yeah.
Bert Kreischer was talking about this recently. He had one that when he was like 19, this girl was just like obviously into him. And he's like, I woke up the other day and I could not stop thinking about how I should have fucked this girl.
Right.
She was laying it on thick and I could not forget it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have one of those, like when I was like 21 or 22, there was a girl that was like really into me. I thought we were just friends, right? So we basically were like dating. Like I now recollect on it as like we were definitely just dating. And like I moved to Edmonton just thinking like, we'll
Right.
stay friends, whatever. And she's like, do you want a long distance date? And I was like, no, who the fuck does that? Like terrible decision. It's like, so I do get the regret piece on, I'm like, especially because like within a year she had married another dude that looked like me. Like, and I was like, she had a type for sure. And so then I started to think like, would that have been my life, had I not? So I get the regret piece, but I feel like I'm unlikely to feel that now in my 30s because I would explain it away as like, no, you probably misread it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I would still regret not making I guess the other thing that I try to think about is like, if you're not a creep about it, then saying that you're into someone should be a good thing, right? Even if they're not into you, that's still a compliment, right?
It should be. But the problem is my inner monologue, which I have to fight against constantly, is that I am that creepy guy that is crossing boundaries that like are uncomfortable for people.
If you are, then yeah, that you definitely don't want to be that person.
No,
For
and
sure.
I mean, like, that's the thing, right? Like my psychologist told me for like 3 straight years, she's like, Ian, I have clients that are that. You're not that guy.
Right.
You're the extreme opposite because you're so fearful of being that guy. And so like, that's where a lot of the, like, I don't want to make women feel uncomfortable. There's a reason like I'm generally friends with a lot of women is because it's like there's some crossover in understanding, like just in the view of the world kind of thing, and like people violating
Yeah, but
boundaries.
I think women enjoy having that kind of attention so long as it's not creepy, right? And that's, I mean, that was a tough thing for me to realize as well. Like when I was younger, every romantic interest I had felt like I was an imposition, like, oh, that poor girl has caught my interest, right? But at some point, I thought to myself, well, even if she's not into me, having someone look at you that way and be interested in you, that's got to be a good thing. It's got to feel nice to know that someone finds you attractive, right?
Yeah, but I've also heard it explained as like it's not the same as how we view it.
Mm.
Like, you know, like I am definitely a person that's like, yeah, if you think I'm attractive, great. Why would I ever hate to hear that? But like
Yeah.
for women, it's a whole thing about like, you worry about it, you know, being like a stalker situation
Right,
or
right.
escalating to a violent thing, right? Because like disproportionately, women are on the end of violence from dating and shit like that.
Yeah, and that's why you want to be cool. That's what I was saying before. Is like the way to recover from that is to immediately switch to being cool about whatever, right? Because then now that woman has a friend that she knows finds him her attractive, and she doesn't have to worry about him being a creep, right? Like that's the ideal situation. It's got to be for her, right?
Right. But I would be like, try to make a move, get rejected, and be like, I can never talk or see this person again.
Yeah. I know.
Bye. And
That's
they'll be like,
obviously right.
they'll be like, I thought we were gonna be friends. I was like, I can't. Every time I see you, I'm gonna think of this time that I just completely fucked up, and I can't do that. And
Yeah,
I pick up friends everywhere, so I'll meet someone that I didn't make an awkward move on. We
Right,
might have had
yeah.
a cool connection, but like, I'm sure I'll have cool connections with other people. It is a, yeah,
Supply demand thing, right?
yeah.
Yeah, like because I
It's one of the worst
assuming-
parts about me.
Yeah, I'm assuming for you, especially as you get older, you just have more opportunities to find new people, right? And you don't
Less than your 20s. 20s is like you pick up friends fucking everywhere. It's just like
Yeah,
you're hanging out
yeah.
having a fire and suddenly there's like 20 people there and you're like, I don't know any of these people, but this is cool.
Yeah, but I found in my 20s I had definitely more opportunities to make friends, but they were with people that I didn't like. Whereas now I have more ability to seek out the people that I am more likely to like. Like I have those things like the MBTI group and things like that where
Yeah, but when's the last time you like moved? 'Cause,
oh
like-
yeah, good point. Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, like coming down here, like what you realize is like when you're trying to connect to people your age, right? Like you guys were immediately suspicious of me.
I think that's just a personal thing for me. I don't think most people are that way. And in fact, I think people are the opposite. I think people are more suspicious of quiet, reserved people than they are of overly outgoing people. Right.
I don't know. I've never really thought about that. I've never really differentiated whether or not someone's outgoing or not versus, to me, it's just like it is that energy. Like, what is your energy? Like a quiet person. This is that body body language thing where it's like I can read someone's hostility or read someone's negativity or whatever, right? You can be a quiet person. Your body language will reflect to me whether or not you're a nice person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, like I for sure have got it wrong, I'm sure, but more often than not, it's like I know who the quote nice people are that are I should stop saying nice. Genuine people are.
Yeah.
They're not trying to be anything they're not.
I think what it is that I always see social situations as kind of like a transaction, whereas like my thought is like, what is this person getting out of this social event, right? So if someone comes in and they're like really outgoing and they're putting a lot of energy in, that just raises the question, what are they trying to get out of this? The more you're putting in, the more I feel like you're expecting to get out of it, to the point that if someone's really outgoing, it's like, are they trying to scam us? Like, is there a financial incentive for them to be like it? Those are the kind of questions that start to pop in my mind. In with you, like those concerns have been dealt with. Like I don't see that in you at all, right? But there have been people that I've met who've been really outgoing, and they've just shown themselves to be like someone who is just trying to get free something out of you, like money or drugs or something, right?
Whereas, yeah, you finally learned, like, my ultimate goal is just to, like, my thing was, I just moved here. I'm trying to make friends.
Right.
I'm definitely full on, right? Like, it's too much. Like, I'm too much for most people too quickly, right? Like, this is something I've had to learn, where it's like, okay, you need to let people warm up to you, because, like, you come in and it's just like, wow, like, I want to be friends. And, like, people aren't, like, they don't know, like they've had lots of experiences that are just, like, super negative, right? Like,
Yeah.
or not even super negative, but, like, had incentives at play, or, like, they felt manipulated or whatever. Whereas for me, it's just like, it's like when I connect with another ENFP, it's like, that's the one connection where I can be full on and it's received as full on, and they're just like, oh, sweet. Like, there's no warming up period. It's just like, oh, this another genuine, authentic, outgoing person, like, that wants to connect. Let's fucking connect. And you go hard for weeks. Like, it's like,
Yeah, and I think if I had known more about MBTI at the time, like that summer that we met was kind of like a crash course in ENFPs for me, because I hadn't known that many prior to that, but I've learned a lot about that kind of personality type, and how it is a lot less about what can I get out of this person. It's much more, I think, like the way Oana described it to me, that I think you might agree with, is like, she said, like, she has a hard time with refining her ideas. She needs to get her ideas out into a group and see what happens, and get that back. So that's like her motivation to be really outgoing, is it helps her sort of refine her thought process, right?
yeah, I don't even think that analytically. Like, for me, it's just about connecting. It's like, so I have all these ideas. What do other people think about these ideas? That's the transaction I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, this actually came up today, because other people clearly think about get-togethers and stuff different than me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was like a TikTok or something that was just like talking about how people go to a party and, like, they don't have fun if this doesn't, or yeah. Okay. So going to a party, and if they don't connect with talking to Tony, it's going to be a bad night. Whereas, like, I'll go to a party and it's like, I may not see my best friend. I'll still have a great time. Like, I don't go with the intent that I have to talk to this person or it's going to be a bad party, or I have to do this thing or it's going to be a bad. I never have that intent. I just go, and I hope for really close connections with people, like conversations that don't suck, and finding out I'm not insane. Like, that most people do have common sense.
Yeah, and I think I had bad experiences with really extroverted people in a lot of circumstances. I think that's surprisingly, since that wasn't that long ago, but I've changed my perspective at this point, because I've met so many people that seem to just want that energy that they get from interacting with people, and that's really all they're out for, right? So,
but I am with you. Like, extroverts, like true extroverts, not whatever bullshit extrovert I am, like true extroverts have a higher percentage of fakeness and bullshit, which is really like an inauthenticity, because it's like they've learned how to connect. Like, people that are like the like, what's that called? Like toxic positivity, like where it's just like, no, this is great. They just keep saying stuff's great, or you're amazing, you look amazing, but they're not consciously having those thoughts. They just know what to say to connect to people, right? Like, if I'm complimenting on someone, like someone's boots or their hair or whatever, I genuinely mean it. I've met these extroverted types that are just like, they know what to say to flatter you and shit, but it like, again, back to the inauthentic, I recoil. And it must be what women feel like when a guy is just saying stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, it's like you're not being genuine with me. Even like, you know, my friend that I was saying, like, I met randomly after the date. That guy, I had him over, like, you know, I've had him over a few times. I've learned more about him. And it's like, yeah, it's just like, oh, I don't think I can keep that friendship because there's
something off about him.
Yeah. Well, like it's that thing of like, I now see people as like people that are addressing their mental health versus people that are not. So like people are in good health or not good health. Right. And so like, I think I told you about how I used to go to a games group and like there was a girl that was really attractive to me, insanely fun to talk to and connect with. And like, I called her up for a date or something like a month or two after. And I showed up to the date and she had a shaved head, was a totally unrecognizable person, talked to me during the, like, it was the date from hell. Like, to the point that like wait staff were behind her and like looking at me like, oh, you poor bastard.
Yeah, that's bipolar.
And so like, I think that experience kind of was like this is too much of an emotional, like I can't be what other people are to me, like emotional rocks. Like there's a lot of people that can be emotional rocks and like keep their emotional distance from people. But if someone's life is too chaotic, it's like, I'm not I can't handle this because I immediately go into problem solver mode. And I'm like, how the fuck do we get you back to being way more normal? Like, and then I take on this crazy, you got to take care of an insane addict that's like not willing to, you know.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Bipolar, that condition scares me for that reason, right? Like it's like spectacular how bad it can get for some people, right? Like most of the time they're normal, and then the flip, right? The nice thing about it is that it's one of the, in terms of like psychiatric conditions, it seems like bipolar is very well controlled with medication. So like if someone does manage to get the help that they need, they can live like pretty normal lives. So,
but that's the problem, right? Bipolar, and I'm a person that used to be on antidepressants and shit too. Mm-hmm. You start to resent having to take it every day, and that's what happens. Is like you start to convince yourself, you're like, this isn't the real me. This is drug me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like you just get tempted eventually to stop doing it. But like bipolar goes to, you're a completely different person with like no sense of boundaries, no.
Yeah. Well, and it is kind of, I can see why they resent it, because it does kind of change them in a way that obviously it's good because they're not bipolar anymore, but it's not a free lunch. They do lose.
You're numbed out.
Yeah, you are. Like I knew this girl who was an artist, who had it, and I didn't know her before she had medication, but I got to see the art that she created before she had medication, and it was way more interesting than the art she created afterwards, right? And it's like, oh man, if you could only get that back, right?
Well, and the creativity thing is often the reason. Like, I remember like back when I was doing like blogs and shit like that, right? Mm-hmm. When I was on antidepressants, it's like I had nothing to say. Like and so it's like, do you want to be writing shit that you like and you're happy with, or you're just gonna be this bland dude that like doesn't have highs and lows? It's just like that fucking kills me. Like, and I think that's what happens to bipolar people is before medication, you got so used to the high swings, low swings, you kind of enjoy both.
Right.
Like it becomes a familiar feeling, and to be level to never really feel enjoyment that much, and to never really, it's monotonous. Like, it's
Yeah.
just like, what am I living for? Like, when you say you're not living for sex, I'm like, what the fuck is the point of living then? Like,
Right.
cause what is your drive? Cause like is it money?
No, for me it's about feeling significant, right? Like I want to feel like I made an impact somehow on this planet. Like I'm driven by like more lofty goals than just like to me living just for sex is like hedonistic, and it's not.
Accurate.
Yeah, it seems like indulgent almost,
Yeah.
right? Whereas like I talk this way. I don't necessarily practice what I preach, but I would really like to feel like I'm making the world a better place. Like
Right.
that would be nice to me. And even in the limited ways that I exist right now, I still look for ways that I'm having a positive influence on the world.
Right.
So
I don't give a fuck about the world.
Yeah.
In fact, when I think about it, I'm I mostly, it's that the thing that's helped me is like, yeah, do awesome in your community. Like I really am like thinking local. Like my brother is generally the one that like drives me thinking more locally. Like he moved his banking to like, service or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like I never really thought about that. I've always been a person that tries to improve communities in the sense like I want to know my neighbors. I want to connect to neighbors, stuff like that. I want to have as positive an impact on the areas I live in, right?
yeah.
But in terms of leaving a mark, it's like the chances of that are so fucking low. Like
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
have written it off as you're born in Calgary. It's like, all right, well, life's over.
Yeah, totally. I 100% agree with you. It would be wrong to me to think that I'm making any kind of difference, but I can't not operate on any other idea, right? To me, it's like if I'm not trying, it's kind of like global warming is a good example. It's like if I'm not trying to reduce my carbon footprint to help with global warming, then I'm honestly depressed because I can't hope for anything if I don't think that we as a species can get through this thing. Then to me it's like there's no future, and I'm bothered by that, right?
Yeah. But what happens in like 20 years if they're like, oh, it never was man-made?
Yeah, would
that fuck up your worldview?
No, because then there's always problems to be solved, right?
Yeah.
I guess maybe more your question is more about would I feel like that was wasted effort, right?
No, what I'm trying to get at is like, is it about legacy? So like some people like name their kid after themselves, right?
Yeah.
Having a giant family is their legacy, or do you want to have your name on a fucking like downtown building because you became an oil baron? Like,
yeah, I don't really care about credit at all. I don't care if my ideal situation is I did something that had a wide-reaching effect on the world in a good way, and nobody knows that I did it, right? Like I don't want the credit for it. I just want to have that warm, fuzzy feeling within me that says you are doing a good thing
right,
for the world.
right.
Just to feel like my life has meaning or purpose or something like that, right?
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause, that's what gives you meaning, is to feel like you're improving the world.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And I know that it's probably bullshit, but I can't help it. I can't do anything else.
No,
Right.
it's what motivates you. Like, yeah, that's what's so difficult is to try to get people on board with the same ideas, because we're all motivated by such different things.
Yeah. But it's interesting to hear other people's perspective. Like I even though it's not my motivation, someone who is driven more by indulging in life's pleasures I want to hear about that because it's cool, right? I want to, maybe that would be something for me if I just understood why somebody does it, right?
Yeah. I think it's also like, how long do you think you're going to live?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Like, we both have long-lived grandparents, right?
Yeah, but did my grandparents drive like a maniac when there was, you know,
Right.
a million people in the fucking city? Like, I don't like. I still think car crash, maybe heart disease. Anyways, one of those two is like top two, right?
Yeah.
And like, I'm for sure likely to be in an accident at some point in life. Like, it would be.
Yeah, but you're also possibly not going to be, and you're also possibly going to be an old fucker that is sitting on a.
Oh, I know, and that's my
recliner.
biggest fear ever. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, I don't think of life as being very permanent. Like, so I have a mindset that I'm probably going to accidentally live to 102, no
Right.
matter what I do. But I also know there's other factors at play that are just like, you're statistically in a category that might die. Like, so like, what, I can't have dairy, I can't have wheat. It's like, what if my stomach just turns on me and I can't have anything?
Right.
Like, that'll end me well before 100 years.
So you're saying like you got to get those pleasurable experiences in while you
Yeah.
still can.
Yeah,
Right.
like, it's like, this was always the worry, like pre-sex versus post-sex, is like, you cannot die before you have that experience. Like, it's just like, that was the anxiety around it, and which obviously puts so much pressure, you know, to make it happen.
Right.
Was
right.
like, it's, you got to do this before you die. You got to do this before you die. And like, even now it's like, maybe it's because I think I would, the thing that would change my mind is money. If I had money, I think I would become way more fearful of death than I already. I'm not fearful of death right now because I don't feel like I have a lot to lose. But if I was suddenly earning $100,000 a year, life's starting to be pretty fun. I'm not fucking driving anywhere. I'm walking my ass as many places as I
yeah.
can.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
That's interesting you say, because that's probably why all of these like tech billionaires are investing in life extension technologies and stuff like that,
oh, for sure.
because they're like, damn, this life is good, I got to keep it going for as long as possible.
If you don't think Elon Musk is enjoying his life, you're fucking crazy. Like,
Right.
like that guy does what he wants every day. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, he might just choose one day to be like, I'm done with Tesla. Like, I'm going to go be a Richard Branson and just fuck people on an island. I mean,
Right.
Elon Musk is the most awkward guy I've ever seen in my life. So I don't
Sure.
think he's driven by that. But like, yeah, I absolutely think money changes your mindset, because it is like, suddenly you have all the toys, all the access, all the power.
Yeah, but at the same time, that could be the trap that looking just for hedonism gets you, is that you do need all of that to feel like life is worth living, right? Like, I don't have that perspective. I want to live as long as possible. I want to be the 97-year-old barely alive
Oh my
dude
God.
sitting on the couch. Like, that is my goal, because I enjoy the experience of being alive, even though it's not always great all the time, right?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's a topic on itself.
Yeah.
People that expect life to be good all the time.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I'm like, if anything happens in a day, brilliant.
Right.
Like this is amazing. Like, you coming over today is like, holy shit, I haven't done anything meaningful with someone for a very long time. And like, yeah, but the moment I go back to doing nothing, doing my hermit shit, or not connecting with people, I immediately lose the will to live kind of shit. Like, it's like, what are we, like, early pandemic? I was like, if this is reality now, and
Yeah.
we just all are staying at our houses, like, I don't get how long I can live this out because it's not life to me.
Yeah, but aren't you?
existing.
But
It's
you
existing.
are. You do have the privilege of living through this historical event, right? Like people are going to be talking
Fuck
about.
you. Oh my
What?
god.
What is wrong with that?
Oh, the privilege of living through a pandemic. What do you? I mean, privilege in the sense that I didn't get wiped out by it.
No, like you get to see firsthand something that is going to make it into the history books, right?
But why would I be excited about that? This is fucking blown.
I don't know. I enjoy that. That's what I'm saying is like that's my perspective on life is that everything is interesting and worth experiencing. So I want to experience it doesn't have to be a good experience, it just has to be something and I want to keep experiencing all of it, right?
Right, but like historical events are not meaningful to me. Connecting with people is meaningful to me.
Yeah.
So like
yeah.
if me, you, and Christian could go do mushrooms in the woods or whatever, like that would be like that's something we could have done in the fucking fall if we didn't think we were gonna die from a whatever.
Yeah, true. That's a very good point. I like that a lot. What about the fact that the pandemic has changed how we interact with people? So now you get to explore all these different ways of interacting with people wearing a mask or on Zoom or all of these things that we all collectively had to awkwardly try and figure out how to live, right?
Right, but I just think of all the negatives that are coming out of a pandemic. We're going to have a generation of kids that doesn't understand how to go play with people,
Right.
right? Like whatever OCD. Like I saw a girl on TikTok going around and pressing everything like a hand sanitizer.
Oh, yeah.
She's like 3 years old. And I'm like, that is depressing as shit. Like just like pressing fire hydrants and like everything. I was like, oh my God, like there's going to be, so I think of all the consequences a pandemic's going to have, not the benefits. So like even going back to sharing a joint, who the fuck's going to do that after this?
Yeah, right. So I think it's the difference between cynicism and absurdism, right? Like you're very cynical about all of these things, right? Whereas I like to see the absurdity in it all, and that I find that interesting, right?
Yeah, but to me, it's just exposed. Like it's exposed more issues than it's helped.
Yeah, but that's fine.
No, I know, but like I was way more comfortable with world events being like, whoa, that's a fucked up thing going on in China, or wherever else. This world shit of like. And like we don't even have it bad, right? Like there's people that don't have the option to be interacting or not, like in play or whatever. Like I fully understand our privileged conversation about it, but like it fucking blows. I can't see how this is going to be a good thing in any way.
I agree. It's not a good thing. It's definitely it's going to be painful for society even after we're done. There's going to be a healing period where we have to kind of get back to normal recovery, all of that. But there's still interesting things going on that is cool, right? Like one thing I think about a lot is like my company, the entire thing is being run and coordinated by people sitting in their living rooms, right? Like there's thousands of people who are working towards this thing and we're all sitting in our living rooms interacting through the internet. It's just, that's so weird and bizarre to me that I enjoy it for the absurdity, right?
Yeah, but this is what's weird about this is you're the guy that wants to live to 99.
Mm-hmm.
You're having 2 years robbed from you in the prime of your life.
Yeah, that's annoying. I agree. Yeah.
So like, I don't understand how you can like compartmentalize this to be like, this will be cool to talk about in 5 years. It's like, to me, it's like, the timing was incredible. Like I was starting to get into communities that I wanted to be joining, learn about shit. I was actually finally getting out there, and then it's like, no, you can't do this. And I was like, on some level, I feel like this pandemic's my fault. I don't know how, but it's that whole like, yeah.
No, I agree with that. It's annoying. I find the fact that we're into 2021 now and there's no end in sight is making it harder, because I think we all kind of thought, oh, once this is a year, we're going to have to do this for a year. And it's looking more like 2 years now, right? So it's making it a bit tougher to swallow. But I haven't really like it. I did lose. Yeah, I lost. Like you say, there were social stuff that got lost for me. I don't know. I'll get that back. Whatever.
I know, but even take your work thing, right? Like, so you realize that, like, to me, like my brain starts to break. Like I'm like, okay, so now everyone realizes you don't have to go to work. Like you can just be at home and do work. And I get people are excited about that.
Yeah.
But my brain goes to like, why are you working for somebody? Like that, like, I don't know why it goes there, but I'm like, if you're already at home, why are you letting someone else steal your time when you should be pursuing your own like,
yeah, that's
like it
true.
feels more like a violation now that you're home. Like you're not even going to participate in anything. You're a cog. And like, it's like that Black Mirror episode where they're just trying to earn tokens.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah. I hated that episode because of how uncomfortable it was.
Oh,
yeah.
And that's what I feel like everything is moving to, right? Like,
yes, that's true. I think it has the potential for that, for sure.
because like gaming, for example, it's like you used to be able to game on the same console. Then they were like, oh, we could make a lot more money if we make it so people can only play online with each other.
Yeah.
So it forced people to buy their own systems, and suddenly you're not playing like, I feel like that's what's happening with work currently, is like there's enough studies now that like when you're home, you get angrier and tend to spend more money, like to relieve that whatever. And like, I feel like we're just like, in some sense, like being manipulated into being homebodies so that we spend more money.
Maybe. I don't know.
This is probably a popular conspiracy theory that I don't know about, but
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, you have a good point. I love working from home. Oh man, like today, I was on that course. They gave us a fucking 15-minute break. That's it, 15 minutes. I managed to get like a really quality nap in that 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it felt amazing.
Yeah.
I couldn't do, there's no way I could have a nap that
Yeah.
productive
Yeah.
in an office, right?
I know, but again, it's like we shouldn't be working 40 hours. Like it should be fucking 30 a week.
Yeah,
like
I agree with
Netherlands.
that.
Like,
Yeah.
and also like, yeah, we should be running on data. So it's like, you know that if your employees have a nap, they're way more likely to be productive in the second half of the day or whatever.
Yeah, I think that what I hope is that as our generation starts to go into running companies versus just working for them, we'll start to see a shift in that way. That's what I really hope. I hope we don't just become like the boomers, right?
I think, but again, I think it's natural that you will, because you're incentivized to do so at a certain point, because your money, the money you make, will depend on like who's going to be running a business that's like, we should cut down to 30 hours a week.
Well,
because you're at a competitive disadvantage to someone working 40.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is like, is it better or worse? Like if you change how your company works and the company runs better,
right,
then you make more money, and then over time, it's like there's a lot of things that happen in like our business world that don't need to happen, but it's just because nobody has shown the business people that it can be done better.
Right.
Nobody's changed.
Right.
And it just takes one person to make that change. And everybody, once they see it play out and it works, then the switch will happen rapidly. Right.
That is yeah. That's the truth. Is if the 30-hour company starts to be more effective,
Yeah.
makes a better product, employees are happier, have that like, you know, like family atmosphere at work. Like it's just, yeah. And people want to work for that company. That will drive it. You're right.
Yeah. Like business in the business world is not experimental, right? They want the sure thing. So there's this inherent conservatism where they don't want to do anything that's a risk or an innovation. Innovation is actually not, like, companies always say they want to be innovative, but they don't really.
Yeah.
Right? They want other companies to be innovative, and they can just
see
steal.
how, see how it goes, so they
Yeah.
don't take the losses. And,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's fair.